Hello, everyone. One of the worst things that happened yesterday was the shelling of a pizza cafe in Kramatorsk. And as the details emerge, the whole situation is more and more disgusting. So if you scroll down in the CNN summary, Zelensky said that the coordinator of the attack was arrested. It's true that the person was arrested. He was not a coordinator. He was an informant. Here's what actually happened. So he was in touch with the Russian troops, okay? And they called him and they told him to go specifically to that location in Kramatorsk and tell them what was there. He called them back and told them that it was a pizza cafe. And when they asked him whether it was operational, he said yes. And he told them that there were civilians there. And then the attack took place. So this puts an end, I hope, to the whole story that it's not like Russians were aiming at civilian targets. It's that they kept missing military targets. No, this was intentional and people died. And an 8-month-old baby is among the wounded. The first point out there in, again, the same summary is that Russian people supported Putin. It's a lie, somewhat, at least a partial lie. Some Russian people continued supporting Putin, but some were cheering on Prigozhin. This is surprising. Apparently, Mike Pense went to Ukraine to meet with Zelensky and toured some of the cities and towns that experienced some of the worst of Russian atrocities. Personally, I think he doesn't give a shit. I think it is a publicity stunt as he is considering running for president. Considering that, Trump did that thing where he basically blackmailed Zelensky for dirt on the Biden family. In exchange for military aid. I think Pence is trying to sort of show, no, look, I care for Ukraine, blah, blah, blah. I'm not buying it. Another interesting bit. So Russian Defense Ministry saying that Wagner forces will not be fighting in Ukraine anymore. This is not to say that Wagner forces will not be doing Russia's dirty work anymore, just not in Ukraine, which is interesting because they sort of spearheaded Russia's war in Ukraine. So who is it going to be now? Another thing I wanted to share today is this statement by a UN representative from Albania. Listen to this guy. I wish he was UN Secretary General.
How many times have we heard in January and February last year that Russia had no intention to attack Ukraine until it shamelessly did? How many times have we heard, including in this room, that everything happening since February 2022 is solely and entirely the fault of Ukraine, which we know it isn't? How many times have we heard that the despicable crimes committed in Bucha were staged? The UN Commission of Inquiry and other credible reports have concluded otherwise. Didn't we hear endlessly that Russia never attacked civilians, except for the 20,000 Ukrainians killed or wounded and those millions uprooted for their homes? Didn't they say that Russia never forcefully deported children to give them for adoption in Russia? The ICC and OSCE Moscow mechanism have proved otherwise and reached different conclusions. The world witnessed in disbelief a room full of people laughing in New Delhi when Russian foreign minister claimed that Russia is defending itself from a war launched by Ukraine. 143 countries of the UN just don't buy it. The world scientific community is still waiting for proof on the biolaboratories producing combat birds and armed mosquitoes and for the spread of pathogens using migratory birds and bats. They are nowhere to be seen. Everyone remembers the high alerts issued on the non-existent Ukrainian dirty bombs, and so on. Therefore, the simple question we have is, why would then the destruction of the dam be otherwise when we have witnessed day and night that Russia has not spared anything to inflict as much as possible damage to the civilian and critical infrastructure in Ukraine? Didn't they do everything to destroy power installations last winter, to leave entire cities without electricity and heating, with a deliberate intention to force the submission or freeze to death civilians, families, women and children, girls, the elderly, the disabled, everyone actually?